Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my World Cup qualifier predictions for Asia in the third round. I'm uploading this one a bit last minute. So much has been going on in the football world, but international break is back. We've already covered the Nations League coming up, but now we have to go over a very important stage in the World Cup qualifiers, specifically in the AFC. Like I said, in Asia, this is the third round now, while in UEFA, they have not even conducted a draw yet. So we already know many teams in this confederation that have failed to qualify for the World Cup in 2026. Some left their campaigns in unfortunate circumstances, but here are the ones that still remain. 3 groups with 6 teams each. How it works is that top 2 automatically qualify for the World Cup in 2026. Places 3 and 4 still have a chance, they just have to go through a 4th round as well. But yeah, in this stage it means places 5 and 6 are out. They will not be making it to North America in 2026. Now this qualifier campaign is very exciting, as due to the expansion of the tournament, we definitely could be seeing some debutants in this confederation. There's a few in particular I have very high hopes for, and I'll get to them very soon. But before we get into the first group, please, if you haven't already, drop an early like and subscribe if you're new. Let's try to hit 4,000 likes on this video, and of course, don't forget to let me know your predictions in the comments below. So starting off in Group A, we've got Iran, Qatar, Uzbekistan, the UAE, Kyrgyzstan, and North Korea. Lots to say about each of these teams. Let's start off with Iran. This side I cannot help but feel soiled their golden chance to shine in recent years. World Cup 2022, they couldn't escape a group that was in some ways a gift of a draw compared to the others, and in the Asia Cup in earlier stages apart from Palestine, they were squeezing past games. Barely defeated Hong Kong after not looking convincing that match, defeating the UAE 2-1, and in the round of 16 they drew with Syria, advancing over them on penalties. Despite those nerve-wracking performances though, they kept their head high in the quarterfinals. Facing favorites of the tournament for many, Japan, they advanced over them and looked to be crowned as one of the new tournament favorites going into the semi-finals. That thought though was short-lived after conceding 3 goals to Qatar, who they will be meeting once again in this group. When it comes to World Cup qualifier performances though, they topped their group, only failing to beat Uzbekistan, who they will also be meeting again. Both times they came up against one another, they drew. Now talking about their players, those golden names you think of immediately if you know this side are fading towards their final years. The one who still kept his class without a doubt and quality is Taremi, just signing for Inter Milan this season after lighting up Portugal time and time again. But then there's Azmoun, who was wanted by European clubs, decided to sign for Shabab Al Ahly in the UAE. He definitely had more potential to play some more years in Europe, so I hope he does not lose his intensity. And then there's the captain Alireza Jahanbakhsh, who does not have a club. That's obviously an even bigger issue than Azmoun watching horses. All the negativity aside, the one thing Iran has is experience in World Cup qualifiers in recent years. They've qualified for 3 World Cups in a row now, and this very much could be their 4th. Qatar qualified last time since they were the hosts. Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan never made it, and it's been some time for the UAE and North Korea, although surprisingly, North Korea had a more recent appearance than the UAE. Good time to talk about them now, although many people like to joke about this side since it would be pretty funny if they do qualify for this tournament, considering most of it would be played in the United States. But the crazy thing is they actually have a solid chance. In the previous round, they finished 2nd place over Syria and Myanmar, and they scored a total of 10 goals against Myanmar both times they faced one another. Against Syria, it was close though. Both teams defeated each other once 1-0, and the final time they met, North Korea got the winner over a stoppage time goal. You can even argue Syria should have won that match, as they had so many chances but just failed to convert. So although North Korea have definitely impressed recently, I can't lie, I'm still worried for them in this group. Now, North Korea are the only country in this group who have not played in the AFC Asian Cup this year. Even one of their opponents who they might have a decent chance against has, Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan got grouped in the Asian Cup, only being able to get a point against Oman. They will take pride in halting Oman's chances in making the next round though. In the World Cup qualifiers though, Oman finished over them with Malaysia and Chinese Taipei below. But man, it was close with Malaysia. And actually, Kyrgyzstan frustrated Oman both times they faced them, so they have bragging rights being a nightmare for this side. Definitely watch out for the striker Joel Kojo. He's only had 17 appearances for the national team, but he's already scored 7 goals and is doing well in the Uzbekistan league as well. And speaking of Uzbekistan, they are looking very good right now. They had a very impressive run in the Asian Cup. Despite having some injuries, they made it to the quarterfinals, falling short to Qatar on penalties. Now they have their striker who plays for Roma, Shomurodov, back, teamed up with quality players like Faizulev. Their 20-year-old defender Kushanov is a beast as well. Like I said in the World Cup qualifier round previously, they tied with Iran on points, drawing with them twice. So we'll see if they can get 3 points against them this time. This is their perfect chance to make their debut in the World World Cup. It's really time for them to prove their worth. If not this round, surely the next one. It really will be tough though coming up against Qatar as well. Now they definitely have what it takes to beat Qatar head to head, but this country just seems to be getting everything going their way recently. Many are upset with those controversies against the Indian national team, poor refereeing decision to not disallow the goal where the ball clearly went out. They also just won the Asia Cup on their own home ground, along with winning the previous one, so yeah, back-to-back champions. Now all credit to them, they do have some ballers, especially in the attack. Almoz Ali and Akram Afif, their biggest assets, lit up the Asian Cup. Afif is one of the best players in Asia at the moment. Their only poor stint was the World Cup, being the worst ever host statistically to perform in the tournament. As you can see, they lifted up their spirits with that Asian Cup win, and they're looking to redeem themselves for North America in 2026. And finally, the UAE. This is a great national team with an experienced manager, Paulo Bento, who's already qualified for World Cups with 2 different national teams, Portugal and then South Korea. But he seemed to somewhat lost the plot with the UAE specifically. Many outfield players seem to have issues with him behind the scenes, as he has not called up Ali Makbout for some time, and this guy is their key attacker. 85 goals in 111 appearances, and his last match for the national team was a friendly in early January, before the AFC Asian Cup. I'd say there's a lot of uncertainty with this national team. Although they have an experienced manager, there's no reason why they shouldn't be questioned. Of course, he's still leaving in some great talents, but a gap seems to be there in this team. In the Asia Cup, they did not look entirely convincing, squeezing through to the knockout, sharing points of Palestine, and lost to massive underdogs Tajikistan, who are not even in this round of World Cup qualifiers, by the way, on penalties in the round of 16. My order will follow as Iran first, Uzbekistan second, Qatar third, the UAE fourth, Kyrgyzstan fifth, and North Korea sixth. Now previously I thought Qatar could be the ones to get automatic qualification considering things were going their way, but this Uzbekistan side are going to be a challenge. They've already frustrated Iran, and like I said, they have some quality players that will be returning that they previously did not have to their disposal. I think they have what it takes to qualify and make their debut for the World Cup in 2026. But yeah, Qatar and the UAE will still go to the 4th round. The only ones massively disappointed will be North Korea and Kyrgyzstan. Moving on to Group B now. We've got South Korea, Iraq, Jordan, Oman, Palestine, and Kuwait. Another fantastic group. Although this could age badly, the one safe pick I want to put is Kuwait finishing rock bottom. And not the most challenging group in the previous round, they finished second, and still struggled to get on the score sheet at times against Afghanistan and India. Actually, they did not score a single goal against India the whole campaign. If they struggle then, I cannot see them doing much in a group like this. No discredit to this nation though, best of luck to them. 5th place, this might be a surprise for some, but I'm going to be putting Oman. They were quite underwhelming in the Asian Cup, not getting a single win. And in the World Cup qualifier 2nd round, they did top their group, but still getting frustrated to the likes of Kyrgyzstan. The national team are undergoing new management though. Shilhavi has just taken charge after managing Czechia for some time. Since his arrival, he has been undefeated with the national team, but obviously this group will be much more of a challenge compared to his previous opponents. I'm going to be putting Palestine in front of them. The national team are showing a lot of improvements and have impressed in the AFC Asian Cup more than Oman have. They do go from looking impressive to getting outclassed scoreline-wise though. But whenever they do, it's always against a much tougher opposition. There are some bright attackers there, like Dabak, who has proven his worth. But they are getting some dual nationals, such as Abu Ali, who scored 18 goals and 6 assists in 19 appearances last season for Al Ali. This is a dangerous team that I do think will be able to show a lot of fight and heart, but unfortunately, I still see them struggling against the other 3 sides I have not ranked yet. For the remaining 3 though, I'm very torn. Jordan looked like the biggest underdogs of the 3, but let's not forget that they were Asian Cup finalists, also defeating both Iraq and South Korea in the process, who are in this World Cup qualifier group, and their form has not slowed down since. In the 2nd round of World Cup qualifiers, they topped their group over Saudi Arabia, being able to defeat them away as well. The only thing that worries me is that after all of this success, their previous manager has stepped down. Salami has yet to take charge of a game yet, but with so many bright players like Al Naimat and Tamari, who already know how to defeat countries like Iraq and South Korea, do not rule them out. They will be extremely motivated to qualify for their first ever World Cup in their history. It will be a challenge, but one where they've proven recently, according to their form, that they have what it takes. Iraq will be desperate to get revenge against Jordan though. The way they knocked them out of the Asian Cup was just insane. 2 goals conceded in stoppage time. They won't want to let that slip once again. And South Korea, during the Asian Cup, they were managed by Klinsmann, who notoriously can be clueless. They do have the best squad on paper in this group, exceptional attacking unit, great attacking midfielders and even defenders. They're coming in with the new manager Myung-Bo Hong, who has yet to take charge of a match this term, but he was their manager in the 2014 World Cup, which did not end so well. The FA itself is a mess as well. It's not looking like the strongest of times for this nation. But they do have the best squad, like I said, so expectations will always be high for them. I really would not be surprised if we see them slip in this round of World Cup qualifiers, even to a third place spot, but it's just so hard to rule out such a giant in Asian football. Cannot forget about Iraq though. Like I already mentioned, they're going to want to get revenge against Jordan after that thriller of a match in the Asian Cup. In that Asian Cup, they flawlessly topped their group over Japan, and in the World Cup qualifier second round, another flawless display with 6 for 6 wins. The only other countries to get 6 for 6 wins in this stage were Japan and Australia, so they really are looking like one of the most informed teams in Asia right now. Their Spanish manager Jesus Casas is building something incredible, and the nation's making history in club football as well. Ali Al-Hamadi just became the first ever Iraqi national team player to play in the Premier League. Incredible. Up top though, they'll most likely be utilizing Ayman Hussein, who is just a monster for the national team. Every single match he's played so far in 2024, apart from a friendly in South Korea at the beginning, he got on the score sheet. He scored a double against Japan in the Asian Cup as well. This team will be more motivated and fueled than ever before, especially since they haven't qualified for a World Cup since 1986. This is their time to shine, I reckon, and I'm going to go for a bit of an upset here. This phase will be played over some time, so obviously we could see improvements, for example, in the South Korean Federation, but I do have Iraq topping the group, South Korea second, and Jordan third. I'm sorry, Jordan. Best of luck to you guys, but I think success will come in that fourth round. Call it an upset if you want. I mean, I still have South Korea qualifying for the tournament at the end of it all, just with Iraq having more impressive displays. We shall see though. And finally, Group C with Japan, Australia, Saudi Arabia, China, Indonesia, and Bahrain. We've got 3 favorites without a doubt, but potential for some exciting underdog stories. The 3 favorites of this group as well, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Australia, have been in the same group together in this phase of the World Cup qualifiers for 3 years in a row. For those underdogs though, I'm expecting the most out of something from Indonesia. The national team still has a long way to go, but they are recruiting a lot of dual nationals and are showing signs of improvement. For example, Sandy Walsh, Justin Huber, Jay Idzes, but now recently they've got Martin Paez, the FC Dallas goalkeeper. The national team has been excelling in sides that look to be a more even matchup, but against sides like Australia, Japan, and Saudi Arabia, I do see them struggling. In fact, in the Asian Cup, Indonesia got obliterated by the Socceroos. But in the last round of the World Cup qualifiers, they only lost to Iraq. Best of luck to Indonesia. I'm rooting for you guys to excel. I think they might have what it takes to get a 4th place spot, which would go to the 4th round. But they will struggle against those giants, like I said. Now, China were insanely underwhelming in the Asian Cup. In statistically the weakest group of the tournament, they could not score a single goal. In the last qualifier round, they scraped through against Thailand by the finest margins, sharing stats across the board, even drawing to Singapore the first time they faced. The quality on this national team just seemed to be on a decline. They keep relying on Lei Wu in the attack, but it can't go much longer, as you can see. Ivankovic just seems to keep the style though of trying to make it low scoring, but the talent pool is just not enough for me to be convinced in them. Bahrain are a very interesting team though. In the Asian Cup, they topped their group over South Korea and Jordan, but lost to Japan in the round of 16. I think they face a similar problem to China though, where based on their Asian Cup performances, they will be lacking a goal-scoring threat. In each of those Asian Cup matches, they scored 1 goal each time, and sometimes played a brilliantly defensive game. After the tournament, the only time we saw them score more than 1 goal in a match was against Nepal. With the quality they have in the defense, they maybe have what it takes to get a 1-0 upset against one of those giants in this group. Our second Croatian manager in this group, Dragan Talajic, has a good group of players he can work with, but he needs to stay consistent against the weaker teams and hope for one miracle performance against the group giants. When it comes to these 3, I'll make the order as follows: China last, Bahrain 5th, and Indonesia 4th. I'm really in between for that 4th and 5th spot between Bahrain and Indonesia, as I do see Indonesia building momentum and courage to beat the sides that they could potentially have a chance against. And Bahrain's lack of goal scoring might hurt them, but who knows, they could turn up against Indonesia. But at the end, I think Indonesia's courage and new fresh legs can make the difference against them. And I'm sorry, but I do think there will be quite the gap between the bottom 3 versus the top 3. But for those top 3, it will be one hell of a battle. Saudi Arabia are obviously building a massive football project. I mean, we see what they're doing with their domestic league, to even appointing the massive Italian Euro winner Mancini. But under him, it has not been that promising. Recently losing to Jordan at home in the World Cup qualifiers, stopping them from topping that group, to also their Asian Cup blunder, failing to beat a heavily critiqued South Korea on penalties. Regardless though, whether you want to admit it or not, football is growing in this country. Their domestic league now has a higher ceiling, having to face some top opponents in their league, but also their right back, Saud Abdulhamid, just transferred to Roma. We haven't seen a big move to European football like that from a player in this country since Al-Dassadi's move to Villarreal. This team is definitely elevating, but still seem a tad bit puzzled under Mancini. I don't know, I see them being slightly inconsistent this run, with them finishing at 3rd place, Australia 2nd, and Japan 1st. Despite all the criticism Graham Arnold received over the years, he proves the critics wrong. Not many believed in the Aussies for the World Cup 2022 campaign, yet they made it out of their difficult group and put off a great display against the eventual champions in the round of 16. The main reason why this side got a lot of criticism was because of their previous World Cup qualifier campaign. Again, where we saw all these top 3 national teams come up against one another. Australia were the ones to fall short by quite a big point difference. But Graham Arnold has gained all the trust in the actual tournament and has not slowed down. Not a difficult group, but in the last round, 6 for 6 wins, scoring 22 goals and conceded 0. Flawless stuff. Many exciting names coming from this team as well. Harry Sutar scoring goals as a defender. The new big thing on this team is the 18-year-old Irankunda. This is his time to massively shine in the international stage if he gets more minutes. He got a direct goal contribution in his first 2 appearances for the national team. Surely Arnold will utilize him more. I think the Socceroos have what it takes to show more consistency than Saudi Arabia this time around. And finally, Japan, what many consider the best team in Asia right now. Topping that insane World Cup group, to slightly disappointing in the Asian Cup, but to be fair, anything other than winning the tournament would have been a disappointment for this nation. The trust in Moriyasu has stayed throughout these years. They also flawlessly topped their 2nd round group, so we'll see if they can continue this incredible momentum and this incredible reputation they have. It would be insane if they don't. So yeah, those are all of my predictions for this coming qualifier campaign. Just my opinions. Even if you disagree, I hope I brought you some insight to each of these teams. So don't forget to leave your predictions in the comments below and subscribe to this channel for more international football content. I'll see you all very soon. Take care. La Cunoch.